Jarrett Stidham and the worst conference championship quarterbacks, when the biggest stage exposes the limits of NFL signal callers. The NFL Conference Championship game represents the final gate before the Super Bowl, a moment where legacies are defined, heroes are born, and weaknesses are brutally exposed. Only the best teams reach this stage, but history has shown that not every quarterback who plays on Championship Sunday is truly elite. Some arrive due to dominant defenses, fortunate circumstances, or injuries ahead of them on the depth chart. Others simply collapse under the weight of the moment. In recent discussions about quarterbacks who struggled on the NFL's biggest stages, Jarrett Stidham has become a frequent reference point, not necessarily because of a long resume of failures, but because his name symbolizes a broader category of quarterbacks who reached critical playoff moments without proving they belong there. This article explores Jarrett Stidham's place in that conversation, examines the worst quarterback performances in conference championship history, and analyzes why some signal callers falter when the stakes are at their highest. Understanding the pressure of conference championship games. Conference championship games are unlike any other playoff matchup. By this stage, defensive schemes are at their most complex. Coaching staffs exploit every weakness. The margin for error is razor thin. Crowd noise, media attention, and legacy pressure peak. Quarterbacks are required not only to execute plays but to control the tempo, read elite defenses, and avoid catastrophic mistakes. A single turnover can end a season. Historically, this is where great quarterbacks separate themselves from merely serviceable ones. Jarrett Stidham, a symbol of unfulfilled expectations. Jarrett Stidham entered the NFL with intrigue. A former Auburn standout, he possessed a strong arm, athletic ability, and was once viewed as a developmental quarterback with upside. Drafted by the New England Patriots in 2019, Stidham was initially seen as a potential heir to Tom Brady, a narrative that, in hindsight, placed unrealistic expectations on him. While Stidham never actually started a conference championship game, his name has surfaced repeatedly in discussions about quarterbacks who were unprepared for high-leverage NFL moments. His struggles and limited opportunities, including preseason hype followed by regular season inconsistency, have made him a cautionary tale. In short, Stidham represents the kind of quarterback teams hope will rise to the occasion but ultimately doesn't, a pattern mirrored by several conference championship quarterbacks throughout NFL history. The criteria for worst conference championship quarterbacks. Labeling a quarterback as one of the worst in conference championship history doesn't necessarily mean they were bad players overall. Instead, this designation often applies to quarterbacks who delivered extremely poor performances in the game, made costly turnovers, failed to move the offense effectively, were carried to that stage by defense or running game, collapsed mentally under pressure. With that in mind, let's examine some of the most infamous cases. Case studies. Quarterbacks who struggled on Championship Sunday. 1. Kerry Collins 2000 NFC Championship, New York Giants. Stat line: 4 interceptions, less than 50% completion rate. Despite the Giants winning due to a dominant defense and special teams, Collins' performance remains one of the poorest by a quarterback in a conference championship game. His inability to protect the football nearly cost New York a Super Bowl appearance. 2. Sean King 1999 NFC Championship, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. King struggled to generate offense against the St. Louis Rams' aggressive defense. While talented, he appeared overwhelmed by the moment, leading to stalled drives and missed opportunities in a low-scoring loss. 3. Rex Grossman 2006 NFC Championship, Chicago Bears. Grossman's Bears reached the Super Bowl thanks to defense and Devin Hester's heroics, not quarterback excellence. Grossman threw multiple interceptions and consistently made questionable decisions, a warning sign that foreshadowed his Super Bowl struggles. 4. Blake Bortles 2017 AFC Championship, Jacksonville Jaguars. Bortles played well early but unraveled late. His inability to close out the game against Tom Brady exposed his limitations. Jacksonville's elite defense gave him chances, but the moment proved too big. 5. Case Keenum 2017 NFC Championship, Minnesota Vikings. After a magical season, Keenum collapsed against the Philadelphia Eagles. He threw interceptions, missed reads, and looked rattled as Minnesota's Super Bowl hopes vanished. Why quarterbacks fail at this stage? Several factors contribute to these failures. 1. Defensive complexity. Conference championship defenses disguise coverages better than any other stage. Quarterbacks without elite mental processing struggle. 2. Limited arm talent. When windows shrink, quarterbacks lacking velocity or precision are exposed. 3. Coaching limitations. Some quarterbacks benefit from simplified systems that collapse under playoff pressure. 4. Mental resilience. Confidence and composure matter. Once rattled, some quarterbacks spiral. Jarrett Stidham, during his NFL tenure, demonstrated several of these vulnerabilities in limited action. Stidham vs. Championship quarterback standards. If Stidham had reached a conference championship game as a starter, critics argue he would have faced the same challenges that doomed others. Inconsistent decision-making, difficulty reading complex defenses, limited experience in high-pressure environments. This is why analysts often reference him hypothetically when discussing quarterbacks teams should not rely on in win-or-go-home situations. The role of team context. Many, worst, conference championship quarterbacks reach that stage due to extraordinary team support. Elite defenses, dominant running games, turnover-heavy opponents. This raises an important question. How much credit or blame should a quarterback receive? In Stidham's case, his opportunities were limited, but when surrounded by strong systems, he failed to seize the moment, reinforcing the belief that quarterbacks must elevate teams, not merely ride along. Comparing Stidham to elite championship quarterbacks. Contrast these struggles with quarterbacks who thrive on Championship Sunday. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning. These players limit mistakes, adjust mid-game, control tempo, deliver in critical moments. This gap highlights why quarterbacks like Stidham, or those listed above, struggle to escape criticism. Legacy and lessons. Jarrett Stidham's NFL story is still being written, but his name has already become symbolic of unrealized potential. Whether fair or not, he represents the fine line between being on a playoff roster and being capable of leading a team to a Super Bowl. Conference championship games expose everything: preparation, talent, mental toughness, and leadership. For quarterbacks who fall short, history is rarely forgiving. Conclusion. Jarrett Stidham may never appear in an official list of the worst conference championship quarterbacks due to limited opportunities, but his career trajectory places him firmly within that conversation. More importantly, his story mirrors those of many quarterbacks who reached football's biggest stages only to be overwhelmed by the moment. Conference Championship Sunday is not about promise, it is about proof. And for some quarterbacks, including those remembered most for their failures, that proof never arrives.